to share something I experienced a few years ago in my previous apartment. I'm sure that place was haunted. Many weird things happened, and despite my best efforts, I couldn't discern any rational explanations. I won't make a list of everything that happened. A lot of it was just common paranormal stuff like feelings of being watched, things moving around, and random footsteps, the stuff we've all heard before. Today, I want to talk about the weirdest thing that happened. I've loved paranormal stories for years, and I've read thousands, but I've never heard any that compare to my own. In my bedroom, a light would sometimes appear high up on the wall, just behind my bed, but there was no source. It wasn't a lamp reflection or the moon. It's like the light was in the wall. It's really hard to explain. It was a pale, phosphorescent white and shaped like a rectangle. I noticed it in the first days of living there, and I thought the previous owners had left behind a child's nightlight, but nothing was there. The wall looked completely normal. One night, I showed my mom, but she only brushed it off. It wasn't every night either. Sometimes it was 2 or 3 nights in a row, then there would be nothing for a few weeks. I used to be too afraid to look at it while lying in bed. It normally appeared 5 minutes after turning off the lights, and it would stay for hours. If I woke up in the night, it was usually gone. One day, I tried covering it with a poster, but that shit moved just next to it. Have you ever experienced anything similar? I've never had a clue what it was. There wasn't anything in the room. I checked many times. I don't have any pictures. It happened before phones were capable of being good cameras. Plus, I was slightly in denial. Hi everybody. I'm writing to share some experiences I believe to be paranormal. It's also important to note that what I say here is only my testimony. I don't have any physical evidence, and you're free to believe it or not. Everything happened in the house I've lived in since age 4, and my grandparents' house, which is like a second home since they're just 5 minutes away. I spent most of my time with them when I was younger. My house was built on an ancient vine culture, but I don't have any more information about the land. My grandparents don't know anything about the past of their house or land. My first experiences began at age 9. Before, I never had any disturbing experiences outside of night terrors, but nothing abnormal. I grew up in a Catholic family, so I was never taught that spirits existed. To me, ghosts were cartoon figures, draped in white sheets with holes cut out for the eyes. I didn't understand that human souls could stay on Earth. Mom's always said good souls go to heaven and bad souls go to hell. I never questioned it. I wasn't even interested. Honestly, I was just a kid with other interests. Mom never believed in the paranormal anyway, and Dad was even more skeptical. We had 4 bedrooms in our house. 3 were on the first floor, and the guest bedroom on the second floor was basically used as an attic. The downstairs bedrooms were mine, my brother's, and my parents'. But then, Mom learned she was pregnant again. As the oldest, I had to move upstairs. The room was large, with a private bathroom, but back then, I still didn't like it. I couldn't sleep for the first 2 years. It always felt like there was something heavy in the atmosphere, something watching me. Sometimes, I get very cold in the middle of summer, and it's hot where I live. Until age 11, I spent all of my time in the living room or my little sister's room. Then, I finally found the courage to move back into my bedroom, but things got worse. It was only noise at first. Every night, when Dad turned off the TV, I heard noises from the living room. The light switch turned on and off. It's loud when used. Dad's gaming chair rolled around, and someone ran barefoot on the hard floor, like kids running around. There were also other strange noises, as if someone would sweep for hours. One evening, someone went up the stairs very fast. It was so clear in the beginning, I thought it was my brother, but when I checked, no one was there. Sometimes, while in bed, I'd feel someone's touch or breath, or sometimes there was a heavy weight on the bed. I was terrified and cried in terror when I felt the hot breath on my face. A lot of things started disappearing too. Some of mine and my sister's clothes, a karaoke mic, Mom's lace shoes, a file with our car papers, and everyone knew it wasn't a joke. The car was being sold. We understood the importance of papers, and our family isn't big on jokes. Mom isn't a believer in the paranormal, but even she admitted to weird noises and doors randomly opening. She once saw my brother running through the garden and called to him from a window, but when he answered, the voice didn't come from outside. It came from his bedroom, and nobody was in the garden. Sometimes there were strange noises on the roof as well, like people with heavy footsteps were running. Now, she also hears loud footsteps coming from my room at 4 a.m. while I'm still sleeping. Maybe I'm sleepwalking, but I don't move furniture or make things fall while I'm asleep. I would notice that things were different the following morning. The first big event happened at my house when I was 14. It was during Eastern holidays, so my siblings were gone for a week, and I was left alone with my parents. It was a sunny afternoon, and Dad was working in the garden while I read a book with Mom on the opposite side. At 4, I went inside via a living room window. Some of the windows were easily used as doors, and I made a peanut butter sandwich. Directly across from where I entered was another window looking out to where my dad worked, and on the left, the kitchen. I went to the kitchen, and when almost finished eating, I heard the garden window open. Mom was going outside, probably to talk with Dad. But I wasn't paying attention. I just closed the peanut butter and went back to my seat. But suddenly, Mom was there, reading a book. How could she have been there when she was on the other side of the garden 10 seconds prior? If she'd passed by the living room again, it would have put her behind me. She would have had to circle the house to enter from the opposite direction to be in front of me. A few years ago, Mom had an accident, and the ligaments in her ankle were badly damaged. She still can't walk really fast. I asked what she was doing, but she seemed confused, responding that she hadn't gone anywhere, and that she had no reason to lie. We ran a test with my brother. If she was by the kitchen window, she would have had to run, but she physically can't. I just don't understand what I saw that day, and it's terrifying. It's also important to note that Dad's friend was trying to sleep upstairs. This was before I moved into that guest room. He later said he couldn't sleep because it felt really bad in there, like he was being watched. And he isn't the type to believe in spirits. He's actually an engineer and a skeptic. A few months ago, we adopted a very calm, very sweet Shih Tzu puppy. He never barks, and he quickly became comfortable in his new home. One day, I wanted to take him upstairs with me since Mom wasn't home, but he got upset the moment we entered my room. He kept looking around and barking, but they weren't aggressive barks. They were frightened barks. He started scratching at the door like he wanted out, but he'd never done that before. He was squealing in terror and only calmed down after we left my room. The next incident happened at my grandparents' house. They have an extra bedroom that used to be my mom's, but she never experienced anything strange in it. I, on the other hand, never could stay in that room. Sometimes, while playing hide and seek, I would hide behind an old table, and it always left me feeling nauseous and cold, even in the summer. Once, while Grandma was sick, I tried to clean that room with a friend, but we couldn't do it. Within 30 minutes, my friend was feeling uneasy. Her head began hurting just a few seconds after I became nauseous. While cleaning, the sponge magically disappeared and reappeared in plain sight 5 minutes later. 2 years ago, when I was 17, I stayed at my grandparents' house for Christmas. But some of the radiators were broken, including the one in my room. That meant I had to sleep in my mom's old room, and I tried reassuring myself I could manage for a single weekend. At 10 p.m., I went to bed planning to read and chat with friends. The ambiance was nice even though the room was freezing. I eventually turned off the lights and went to sleep, but it was the most terrifying moment of my life. I heard scratching noises from inside the walls, and I felt a weight on my bed. During some moments, it even felt like something was lying beside me. And when I finally passed out from sheer exhaustion, I had the strangest dream ever. I was in a room that looked like a little public swimming pool, but there was only one small pool. There was a balcony with bright green plants, small candles, and an old lady lying on a white mat. She was very pale, with long white hair, blue eyes. She was wearing a white nightgown. She wasn't scary, but it felt very strange. The woman called me closer with a sweet voice and took me into her arms. Then she began to cry, saying she was happy to see me, but she had cancer and would die very soon. That's when I woke up. I was crying, but the bedroom was warm, just like in my dream. I felt extremely sad, and even now, I feel sadness. But there's also an intense sweetness. I don't know who this woman is. I've never met her. Well, that's everything. I know this was long, but there was a lot to share, and there's still so much that hasn't been said. If you have any answers or theories, it'd honestly be great to hear. It's truly terrifying to live here. Thanks for listening. I wish you all the best.